The 4 most mystical ancient temples of the world. Did you ever have a feeling that you want to get closer to the ancient world and touch the heritage of our ancestors? Now you have a wonderful opportunity to do it. We at Smart is the New Sexy collected 4 most mysterious temples ever built, with all the myths hidden behind them. Stay with us and feel the magic. 4. Konark Sun Temple. An architecture marvel of Eastern India and a symbol of India's heritage, Konark Sun Temple, commonly known as Konark, is situated in the eastern state of Odisha, earlier known as Orissa, India. King Narasimhadeva I, the great ruler of the Ganga dynasty, had built this temple with the help of 1,200 artisans within a period of 12 years, 1243 to 1255 AD. Konark Temple was initially built on the seabank, but now the sea has receded and the temple is few kilometers away from the sea. The Sun Temple of Konark is gigantic, so also the stories and myths associated with it are many. The most popular theory associated with Konark Temple is its magnets and the floating idol in the air. The uniqueness of the Sun Temple of Konark lies in the fact that it was built with an architectural setup of various magnets. During the construction of the main tower of the temple, the artisans put an iron plate between every 2 stone pieces. There is a lodestone at the top of the temple was said to be a massive 52-ton magnet. According to legend, the statue of the sun god inside the temple was built of a material with iron content and was said to be floating in air without any physical support due to the unique arrangements of the top magnet, the bottom magnet, and the reinforced magnets around the temple walls. The placement of the main temple and the sun god had been aligned in such a way that the first ray of the sun from the coast would cross the Nata Mandir dancing hall and would fall and reflect from the diamond placed at the crown of the sun god. Other legends state that the magnetic effect of the lodestone was so strong that it caused disturbance in the ship's compasses, those passed by the coast, Konark being a major port at the time, thus making the navigation very difficult for the sailors. To save their trade and their ships, the Portuguese sailors destroyed the temple and took away the lodestone. The removal of the lodestone leads to the collapse of the main temple structure. Hit the like button if you like the story, and stay with us to hear even greater stories. 3. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent takes its name from the iconic carved heads that adorn the eastern side, figures W2-0037 and W2-0035. The exquisitely crafted beastly heads were added during the Temple of Quetzalcoatl's initial construction in the 3rd century. The high-relief images alternate between a serpent's head, surrounded by feathers, and a crocodile's head who wears a headdress. The former is easily identified as the Aztec creator god, Quetzalcoatl, a Nahuatl term which translates to feathered serpent. The latter was believed to be another central deity of the Aztec, named Tlaloc on account of its goggle eyes, but is now thought to be either the crocodile, Sapactali, or the fire serpent. Between the heads is a bas-relief of a snake's body, which features the skeletal rattle of a rattlesnake. On the talud section, the small sloping wall beneath the vertical tablero section, there are full-length bas-relief images of an undulating serpent. It uses combinations of elements known as pictographs and ideograms to resemble objects, portray people, denote places, recount traditions, describe religious concepts, and record historical or celestial events. On the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, we are given a number of elements that are probably designed to recount a story, a religious concept, and a historical event all at once, which is very common. The most easily identifiable elements are found within the carved representations of Quetzalcoatl, figure W2-0035C. Here, the feathers that surround the serpent's head tells us that this is the feathered serpent. The feathers then represent the petals of flowering crops and tells us that he brings the harvest. The feathers also represent rays of light and associate him with the sun. Meanwhile, feathered serpent, the curling eyebrow, represents duality. It's a double spiral, infinity and the swirling cosmos. Amazing, huh? Ready for the next temple? 2. Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat, in its beauty and state of preservation, is unrivaled. Its mightiness and magnificence bespeak a pomp and a luxury surpassing that of a pharaoh or a Shah Jahan, an impressiveness greater than that of the pyramids, an artistic distinctiveness as fine as that of the Taj Mahal. Angkor Wat is located about 6 kilometers, or 4 miles, north of Siem Reap, south of Angkor Thom. Entry and exit to Angkor Wat can only be accessed from its west gate. Angkor Wat was built in the first half of the 12th century, 113 to 5 BC. Estimated construction time of the temple is 30 years, by King Suryavarman II, dedicated to Vishnu, Hindu, replica of Angkor Thom style of art. Angkor Wat, the largest monument of the Angkor group and the best preserved, is an architectural masterpiece. Its perfection in composition, balance, proportions, reliefs, and sculpture make it one of the finest monuments in the world. It is generally accepted that Angkor Wat was a funerary temple for King Suryavarman II and oriented to the west to conform to the symbolism between the setting sun and death. The bas-reliefs, designed for viewing from left to right in the order of Hindu funeral ritual, support this function. Angkor Wat is a miniature replica of the universe in stone and represents an earthly model of the cosmic world. The central tower rises from the center of the monument, symbolizing the mythical mountain Meru, situated at the center of the universe. Its 5 towers correspond to the peaks of Meru. The outer wall corresponds to the mountains at the edge of the world, and the surrounding moat the oceans beyond. Now it's time for the last and most mystical temple. Ready? 1. The Kailasa Temple. The enigmatic Kailasa Temple at the Ellora Caves in Maharashtra, India, has fascinated researchers and tourists for centuries. It is a breathtaking construction that points out that thousands of years ago, ancient cultures were far more advanced than what mainstream scholars are crediting them for. Everyone is trying to understand how the temple was built, cut out of the rocks, without the use of modern technology. The temple symbolizes Mount Kailash, the home of Lord Shiva, one of the most important ancient Hindu deities. The Kailasa Temple is the 16th from a total of 34 caves, which were literally excavated out of the surrounding rock. Mainstream scholars indicate that the ancient caves were built sometime around the 5th and 10th centuries AD, but many others disagree, suggesting the caves are much older. Many researchers believe that the builders of the Kailasa Temple used a vertical excavation method in order to achieve what they did. They started at the top of the original boulders and worked their way downward, carving out one of the most fascinating ancient temple complexes on the planet. But how did they do it? What did the ancient builders of the Ellora Caves use to excavate and build? Well, we still can't answer those questions. But whoever built those fascinating caves thousands of years ago surely had more than just ordinary hammers, chisels, and picks. Like many ancient cultures around the globe who erected some of the most complex and extraordinary structures in the history of civilization that still cause sensation among archaeologists who are unable to explain how such structures were built at all. How did you like the stories? Please do support us with your likes. Are there any temples in your country, by the way? We'd be glad to hear about them in the comment section below the video. Remember to click subscribe to be among the smart and sexy.